Hi everybody, this is Ellen. I have another tutorial for you, and this time it'll be my beaded wagon wheel on one loom. That way more people can enjoy it, which is my goal. And I think this bracelet is pretty fabulous. There is, you know, the starburst, and from afar somebody might be like, oh, that's just a beaded starburst. But I mean, if you look at this, you look at it that way and you're like, beaded starburst, but then you turn it and you get this really awesome profile on this thing. The underside is even like kind of like little bowl in there. I just think it's really cute, and you can have tons of different combinations. I mean, the ones that I've made are kind of on the fun kid side, I guess, because I guess maybe I want to be a kid again. But I think you can make these that are more adult and stylish and, you know, sophisticated with the right beads, which is, you know, really the kind of the crew of the whole bracelet is picking the right bead. It's pretty simple to make. I mean, it's really simple to make. So I'll show you how to do that. Because we're making it on one loom, we're going to make the first half and then we'll make the second half. We can only fit 3 of the bead or the beaded wagon wheels on one loom, so I'll show you how to extend it as well, so that you can have the full bracelet. This is 6, so it's 1 or 2 looms long, and for me, I probably could use like maybe 1 more, but not necessarily. I could pull it tight enough to do it a little bit better, but I think, got a little band there running away, but I think for a child-sized wrist, you know, you could probably definitely get away with the whole 2 looms, but I mean, you might not even need that many. You could probably get away with 5. So I mean, you'll have to kind of test it out. It wouldn't be too hard if you made too many to just make it shorter by putting your hook into the center of here and then just removing one of them if you need to. But we'll get started with this. And I'm going to make this one kind of a little fun too, I guess. So I'm hoping that you'll be able to see the bands well, because I'm going to use clear bands for the most part, or for all the part. I'm going to do the one loom version. I'm going to do it on the regular setup for the loom, so that people who have the other looms can make this as well. I can probably do a transfer of this so that you can see how that's done. It's not too hard because there's only a few points that need to be transferred, really. And we'll kind of cross that when we get there. If you have the rainbow loom, of course, you can take this apart and move the pin bars over like I have been in some of my other tutorials. But I'll do the transfer so you see that it is possible for you to do as well. And I'll show you the trick I've been using to do that too. You are going to need some beads for this. I'm going to use these here. Some beads you can get your hook through. I think I was able to get my hook through these clear beads, but I was not able, maybe it was these. One of these beads I was able to get my hook through it, but they don't fit through. The rainbow loom hook does not fit through all the beads. So if you don't have another hook that'll fit through to be able to thread some of the beads on, you can always use a piece of wire, kind of like a needle type thing. You just would slide the band through here and then put the beads on. So that's a possibility. If you don't have wire, most everybody has a bread tie in their house. You just grab one of those and you remove the paper from it, and then you have a wire. So that would be where you can find one of these too. I'll probably use my hook for the most part, but I'll show you how you would do it with a wire as well to put the beads on. It's not real hard at all. So, alright, so we'll get started. We're going to lay the outside perimeter, which on this one is black and this one's green. Man, that band bothers me. Just the C-clip let go of it, but I'll fix it later. It is double banded to help kind of give that the kind of the poof that it needs. And like I said, we're going to use some clear bands here, so I haven't really played with these too much in any of my tutorials, so we'll have a little bit of fun. But because we're going to make this in half, since I think I will show you the transfer, I'm not going to drop the bands that I would if I was going to take this apart, but I will tell you where you would drop bands so that if you are going to take your loom apart to do the transfer, you can have the bands there for the next half. So what you would do, you would drop 2 bands here if you're going to take apart your loom, and then you would put 2 bands and go to the left. I hope I don't regret using these. Then you'll go 2 up, and then 2 to the right. And then if you're going to drop bands, you would drop 4 bands right here and then put this one over the top. So like that. And 2. So we're just making the half hexagon pattern. 2 to the left, 2 up. This is still double bands. Then you drop 4 bands here. Again, if you were going to take apart your loom, and put the bands over. Go back 2 to the left. 2 up. And 2 to the right. And you drop 2 bands here if you're going to do the taking part of your loom. So like that. And then we can put an end cap here, just 1 band, twist it around twice is fine. And now, because the bands that we're going to lay on top are not directional for how they're banded, because it is just like a starburst pattern basically, we can turn our loom around now and put these on, because we actually need to work in each section of the honeycomb first, or the wagon wheel as it will be first, because the bands that come back through here, if I went and laid all the bands down first in the pattern and then did this one the same way, as we go through here, the bands would overlap here in the center, so we'd have to pull them all off and then put them back on, and it would just be more of a mess than if we just work with one section at a time. So what we're going to do is we're just going to start by laying a band in from every corner. Just 1 band, like that. And then we'll lay another band in to the center pin right here. Like that. End cap. Wrap it maybe 2 or 3 times. Let's see here. This one was 3. And this one was, looks like 3 also. So 3 times. It's hard to gauge because all the bands are not the same elasticity a lot of times, so if I tell you 2 or 3, then it could be super tight or it could be super loose, so you'll just kind of have to gauge. You want it kind of tight so it pulls the center of this in. So that's everything for laying of the bands for this section. So now what we're going to do is just simply loom this out. So go in through your end cap, grab the top band, or in my case, bands, top band, pull it back towards itself, and then you might as well just go all the way back to the outside perimeter. And do the same thing for the next ones. like that. Now we're going to put our beads on. So first I will show you with the wire what you would do. It's just one bead per little spoke here of our wagon wheel. And what you'll do is you'll stick it in through the middle of the bands here, kind of like you were going to hook it. And then you'll pull this off the loom, grab a bead, thread it through the wire, and then just pull it back down on there. Now take this, the middle of this again, and just put it back where you had it, or where you took it from. Oops. And try not to do what I just did by letting go too soon. But the good thing about this is that if you mess up, it's not that hard to fix it all over again because it's just a couple bands. So then just put that back on the pin. I'm just going to move this to the outside here. So like that. If you have a hook that will fit through the bands, you actually want to thread that onto your hook first. Hook it, pull it over, and then just pull this back and put it on the pin. Like that. So you're going to do that for these other two. So put your bead on first. Pull through. And put it back. Put them both back. And these don't matter if they go back on the pins or not. So like that. So now we have all those on. So now we can move on to the next part here and do the same exact thing. So the outside first. And come in. And that center end cap. 3 times is what I'm doing. Now we'll loom this out. So in through the end cap. Grab the top band. Pull it back towards itself, and you might as well do the next one too. And the same thing for the other ones. Like that. Now we'll do the beads again. See, before, like I said, if we would have loomed this right here, it would have trapped this band over here, would have been on top of this, and then we would have had to take them apart, and so it's just easier to do the sections. So I'm just going to do this the wrong way. Put the bead on first. Pull it through and put the bands back on the pin. We'll just do that all the way around. Did it again. Get so excited to pull this off. Two, with bead choices, I mean, I've just been using pony beads for the most part, or I have used pony beads. You can kind of see how they are all pretty close to each other. If you choose a different bead, you want to be careful how big it gets, because otherwise they'll kind of distort and they'll poke in. Like this one will get pushed down underneath, and then these will kind of take over. So bead size would definitely play a factor, so I probably wouldn't go too large with the beads, but I think that you could make them smaller too if you wanted, but so nothing probably too much larger than a pony bead. Alright, so we have that section done, so we can move on to the last one here. Lay the bands again, starting from the outside corners going in, and then just go into the center. And we need the end cap 3 times around. And we'll loom this out. Just like the other ones. So as you can see, this is a fairly simple bracelet to make. Just a couple things here and there for making it a little easier, but definitely has a big impact when you're wearing it, so that's very cool. So now we'll do the beads again. Bead on your hook, and you want to get down the band, put the band back. I tell you. I suppose I probably could slip the bead on from the other side instead of putting it back on, but I didn't. Like that. So now all the centers are done. So we'll come back to the beginning, which is the wrong side of the loom still, or the right side, I guess, because we're going to loom it this way. Depends how you look at it. We'll go in through our end cap, and we're just going to go all the way up the loom to the end. Make sure you grab both bands when you pull it over. And it can get a little snug right in here where we've got quite a few bands there, but I found that if you put your finger down in front of your hook and support it, it helps so you don't end up with all the stress marks and your hook doesn't break quite as fast. Alright, just like that. So you can see we've got everything loomed up now. And now here's where if you're going to take apart your loom, you just want to push everything down that's on this pin here. So I have the red arrow down here. Push all this stuff down. You'll remove these 2 rows here, flip them over to the other side. You should have bands hanging off underneath for doing the next part of the hexagon. So I'm going to do the transfer, just because I know a lot of my designs, they do have half and half quality, and I know it deters some people from doing it when they see that they have to do the transfer, but I think that it's possible to do, and it's not so bad with the help of bobby pins. So when we're doing the transfer, we don't need to worry about the center end caps. I mean, those are pretty easy to find. It's not a big deal if, you know, they're not watched after while we do the transfer. The ones that we want to make sure we can find the centers of are the end, the two middle ones here, and then the other end, of course, because this is open, so we have to make sure that doesn't fall apart. So I'm going to take 2 bobby pins. I have kind of pulled these apart a little bit so they're not so tight. That way, I did break a band once when they were tight and I pulled them up through. I don't know if it was the bobby pin that did it or if I just had a bad band, but I haven't had any issues since I pulled them apart a little bit. But 2 through that point. I'm going to put 2 through this point. You just want to go through up through the center of all of it. Like that. So now I have the bands secure, or I can find the centers of the ones that I worry about. And then I'm just going to put my hook in here and then pull this off because I won't need my hook again until after we lay these on. So put my hook in here and we'll pull this off. There's half of it. So now put this to the side for right now, and we're going to lay some bands down for the other half of this. So we're going to go the opposite way now. Now we're just going to go. If you took apart your loom, you're going to be pulling the bands up that were underneath here. But we're going to lay the bands. So 2 to the right. Two up. And then 2 to the left. And then you'll pull up the next bands over to the next pin. But we're just going to make the rest of us that didn't take apart the loom are just going to make the hexagon pattern all the way up the loom using 2 bands at a time. They're so slippery. Like that. And now we'll come back to the beginning here, and I have to remember that as we loom, as we loom back up this way, this is the other half of our the hexagon here. So we still have a couple more corners we have to account for. So we're actually going to lay those first before we put this back on, because then the end cap will fit right over the top of it, and we can loom these back, and it won't be difficult then, instead of pulling the bands back up through later. So we're going to lay the corner bands from here and from here. And that center end cap wrap 3 times. And because we aren't going up this way to hit the center pin, we can actually just kind of, we won't have to do one thing at a time, or one section at a time. We can do the whole thing. So we'll go on and do the next corners as well. Center end cap. And the last one here. Like that. And I don't know why I'm putting end caps on here. You can shame me later because we don't need them. Sorry. Just realized that. Force of habit. Take them off. Alright, so now putting this back on the loom. The open end of your bracelet here is going to go on the pin by the red arrow, because we loom back up this way, and that's why this end is open. So you can go ahead and put that on your pin. Just make sure you get the center on there. So all that goes there. And then I think it would be easiest, possibly, if we go and just put this other end on there. And if you have an end, the end cap kind of makes it easy to find that end we would need to put there. So I'm just going to put that over there. I'll take these off. And now you can kind of see things line up pretty well, so it makes it easy to find. And now the cool thing about the bobby pins when they're not stuck together is if I grab each one and pull apart, oops, I can find the center pretty easily. So then I can just put that over the pin where it needs to go. So that one is on where it needs to go. I can take these off. And then the same way with this one. I can just pull these apart, find my center, and put that right over the pin. And then take these off. Now, go back and you want to find your, so your loom doesn't come apart. Find the end cap right in there. Grab it and put it over the pin in the middle. Same thing with the next one. Find the center. Grab it, put it over the middle pin. And then the last one, do the same thing. Like that. So now, we can just go and we can turn our loom around here. And we actually just loom out, go ahead and loom out all the corner pieces on this one, because like I said, they don't come here where the issue was with the overlapping. So if you just go in through your end cap, find the top band, and just pull it back, both bands back towards themselves, towards the outside. And then do the same thing over there with the other one. And then go ahead and do that in the other halves of the hexagons. Oops. You know, sometimes I wonder what I'm doing. Maybe I can edit that out. Do the end cap up here then. Like that. And then you come back to the beginning, I guess. Good place to be. And lay the other bands for your wagon wheel. So, different hook. I'm going to turn this around just because it's a little easier. So bead on the, not on the hook, bead on the hook, through, pull the bead on, put this back on. I used to do a lot of candy bracelets, which are the beaded bracelets, so I have so many pony beads. So I figured I needed to use some of them up. So again, bead on, and we'll just do the next one. Like that. And the last one here. And I almost forgot my bead again. Alright, so my video currently stopped right there, but I did get the other beads on here for this last one. And then once you get those on, you'll want to go back to the non-red arrow side, and then we can loom up the outside perimeter here. So just stick your hook in through here, and just grab the bottom two bands and pull them over. And you'll do that all the way up the loom. Now right here, there are a lot of bands. If you have another hook, you probably use that. But otherwise, I found that if you put your finger in kind of in front of your hook here, and then use that to push back, it changes the point of where you're putting pressure on your hook, which kind of helps preserve it a little bit. So it's kind of, you do that to help get a little leverage to pull the bands up. So again, just kind of get low on your hook, pull the bands up, and over. So like that. So now we have the first half of the bracelet done. Awesome. I'm going to put a hook in here. Not the hook I want to use later, but just as a placeholder for now. So find the center of this, put a hook through it, and you can take it off the loom. That's what mine looks like so far. Oh, kind of excited. Looks good. I have a cat with long hair, and she's in here. I think she tries to live in my bands, but... So, we need to extend this. And how we're going to do that is, this time I'm not going to take apart my loom. So, I'm going to do that as well this time around. And again, we're going to have to, on the first half, we're going to have to work with just the, just doing one hexagon at a time, or one wagon wheel at a time, so that we don't have that overlap in the center here. So, I'm going to turn this around, and I obviously have all the same color bands. But if you look on here, I do have, there should be 4 bands. Let's see, 2. There's 2 on the top, or to different sides, but there'll be 4 bands on the bottom and 4 bands on the top that are perimeter bands. So if you did like my bracelet here has green on the border, and then it has yellow on the inside. When you go to connect the extension part, you're going to want to lay. It's kind of hard because we gotta well, you don't have to. This is reversible, by the way, so it makes it pretty easy. You're actually going to want to take the first 4 bands, so it's the bottom part of the perimeter, and you're going to want to get just those on your cap. And really, I guess everybody should probably do it this way. But just those 4 bands on there. And then just kind of have it hang off. Just make sure your hook is supported, or whatever you have there. You could probably even stretch it to this pin over here that we're not using. By the way, in case you didn't see, this is the exact same layout as before. So, but you just want to get those bottom perimeter bands on there, because these next bands, if you had a colored center, they'll be colored. So we're going to do this square here. So we'll lay the bands for that. So from the corners again. Oops, that's not a corner. This is a corner. And then go in towards the center. Like that. And you're going to need that end cap 3 times. Like that. Then we're going to want to loom this out like before. So in through your end cap, and just loop the bands back towards themselves. Like that. And then, gotta see how my colors were here. Now we're going to put the beads on. Green. Get the other ones. I knew red was at one of the corners, but I guess I didn't realize which one, so got it now. So like that, and then you go back here to your point, and you can put all of this back onto the pin. So just find the center, and get that back on. There. Now it's trapped accordingly, like it should be. Then we're just going to repeat basically the process we had before. So lay the bands again from the corners. Like that. And the center end cap 3 times. Loom it out. And we'll add our beads again. Oops. I get so excited to take the bands off of them. Yike. I think it's because before when I did this I didn't really have a pattern, so I like stuck all the 6 beads up on my hook right away. So I have to think about putting a bead on before every time I pull up a band. There we go. So that's the next section, and then we have one more to go. So outside bands. end cap 3 times, loom it out. Like that. Beads. Oops, see. It's in the home stretch. I dropped the ball. Actually. There, what a save. There. So there is all of the beads added for this side. Now we can just go back and loom up the perimeter bands. So there are a lot of bands here again on the corner. And for this one I did drop because I am going to take apart my loom. If you aren't going to take apart your loom, you'll have to do the transfer. So I don't want the bottom bands. Alright, so there is that side. All done. So now I'm going to take off these 2 rows here and move them to the other side. And I'll tell you which one I thought was easier. They both have their downfalls. So we gotta pull bands up through centers if we do it this way, because I, well, forgot to drop them, so that doesn't help, but so that's all off. I'm gonna turn my loom around this way. Move these to the other side. Put it back in the offset pattern it was in. And now we'll do some laying of the bands. So first, I'm just going to grab these bands I dropped from before. Lay a couple bands, just that same hexagon pattern. And then here I want the bottom bands. Sorry, took me a moment there. And then the top bands will go over here. And then go back around. And then here I want the bottom bands, and then the bottom bands, not the middle bands. that. And then go back around. And then pull up these last bands, like so. And then, because we just have to do the corners over here, we can lay all the bands at the same time. And I'm actually going to pop off the centers on here for right now. Just start down here, starting from the outside, come into the center. Like that, and then put that end cap back on. And then do the same thing in the other ones. Outside. Like that. I'll turn my loom around. I'll loom these out to go in through our end cap. I'll do the rest of them. Like that. Then I'm going to turn my loom here a little bit and put on the last of the beads. Alright, so last of my beads are on. Then we're just going to loom this up. So come back over here, go in through here and just loom up the whole perimeter. And again, there are a lot of bands here, so alright, so all done, finally. I know it's a long bracelet, it seems like it's very simple to make, which it is, but it takes a while. So I'm going to stick my hook in through here, pull this off the loom, put a clip in, And here we have it. Just give it a stretch to pull your beads out. But that's what it looks like. If you have problems with the beads kind of not sitting correctly, pulling the center while you push the beads down towards the edge, that usually will kind of help correct it a little bit. And like I said, this is technically reversible because I can poke all these back the other way. It's kind of like bubble wrap. Just keep poking it and turning it and poking it. At least that's what I probably do with it. So, but this is my tutorial for my beaded wagon wheel. I hope you enjoyed it. I know it was a long one, but I think it's pretty neat. It's worth it to figure out how to make these cool bracelets. So, hope you'll give it a try. But thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe so you know when I'm coming out with these different creations that I seem to be doing. So, and as always, I appreciate it, and I will have more for you soon. Thanks.